One thing I do actually really regret about my most recent rash of pruning videos to try and improve the channel's image in the long run is the fact that I got rid of my initial Beast Morphers videos, because those videos were actually a lot more timely than I usually manage to be, and they were a lot closer to the style I'm doing now, of a more off-the-cuff, just kind of cliff notes, here's my thoughts type presentation. The only difference being they were at the time where I was filming in my garage and not wholly outside as I am now, with fucking chirping birds and big chiming bells in the background. Because you see, the first season of Beast Morphers was incredibly solid and tight compared to what we had leading up to it, and felt very exciting because it was the beginning of a new era for the franchise, and it was an adaptation of a Sentai I think a lot of us had given up on hope getting an actual adaptation at all. But the second season decided to expand things out a little more from the scope the show had initially established, and did a lot of crossover with previous seasons and fleshing out of the general PRU, while also bringing in a lot of Toei concepts that I personally never thought we'd see in PR. And a lot of people don't really care for that approach. They feel like it's putting too much focus on Power Rangers as an overall franchise and not letting the current season stand on its own really well. But I tend to disagree, because conceptually it makes a lot of sense, as, well, I'm not certain it's the case in the market Sentai is more focused on. Here in the Western world, where Power Rangers is at its most popular, we've been more and more focused on interconnected big universe storytelling in recent years, and if Power Rangers wants to keep up with the times, it makes sense that they would try and adapt to that sort of storytelling. I'll agree with you, it's not always perfectly done here. I could have thought of a dozen better ways to adapt Space Sheriff Gavon, or even have Jason show up in the episode he cameos in, but it's not entirely unwarranted, in my opinion, to do those things. And I would even argue that doing that makes sense thematically and was built into the very DNA of this series from the beginning, because I was under the impression that with Beast Morphers we were back in the main PR universe and able to address those things more directly thanks to the Saban shackles having been removed from this season, with the mention in episode 1 of a bunch of previous villains. Yeah, one of them is from another dimension, but he's appeared in and been brought up in the main PR universe several times since his show wrapped up, and them mentioning him along with the couple others they did, it made me feel like it was the writers saying directly to us, this is going to be a show that is back in the main Power Rangers universe and is going to be working within the confines and the structuring of that universe. And I mean, why wouldn't they do that? Why wouldn't they make that decision to move into more interconnected storytelling at the beginning there, when the Boom comics had just proved that there was an audience that had a hunger for that kind of stuff with Power Rangers? But hey, what do I know? I'm just some schmuck out here ranting to a camera in public. It's not like I've been doing this for 11 years and I have a weekly tokusatsu podcast that's over 100 episodes now or anything. Nope, sir, I'm just a goofy boy with his goofy opinions. Don't mind me. And I mean, their way of tying into old seasons even comes full circle with the reveal towards the end of the show that the villain they've been fighting all this time is actually a reincarnated Vengex, finally following up on that cliffhanger from RPM in a way that I think felt pretty satisfying for everyone, including myself. I mean, yeah, it technically stole that concept from the Amit Bomic pitch for Go Busters, but who can blame them? It was a kind of cool and fun idea that, yeah, feels a little fan servicey, but who cares? fan service can be fun sometimes. It doesn't always have to be a bad thing, especially with the way it's handled here, because they built it into the story and made the big dramatic reveal a turning point in the arcs of one of our main characters, and actually makes him start questioning himself in a way he hadn't beforehand, and echoes the way Vengex was originally used as a character in Power Rangers, especially when we bring actual Dr. K back to do some mentoring for this character. I don't know why I'm saying this character so much. It's Nate, the Gold Ranger, Nate Silva. But anyway, this allows for Dr. K to come in and do some mentoring for Nate in a way that acts as a kind of cool passing of the torch in a moment that we never really got for RPM. I mean, yeah, Clash of the Red Rangers exists, but it's not really a team-up in the traditional sense, and neither is this, I'll give you, but it's such a strong character interaction in a way that Clash of the Red Rangers wasn't. So well written and thematically resonant for both characters, bringing their arcs to new places, that it felt very satisfying for me as a longtime fan. And then the writers were able to take it one step further by having the way they actually defeat Vengex, now Evox, be with the use of previous weapons from seasons all across Power Rangers history. And I'll give you that it's a bit odd that they have access to some of them when some of them are from other dimensions or technically haven't been invented yet in the main universe. But like, that's the way it goes with tokusatsu sometimes. You only have access to the props you have access to. And again, it's more about how the themes work here. How it's taking this season that has been about establishing a new era and saying, hey, here is the current team taking these weapons from the past to defeat a villain from the past once and for all and usher in a new future era for Power Rangers. And that just felt so smart and depth to me that I can't really see why people have a problem with it overall or think it devalues the Beast Morphers Rangers in any way to have their main villain end up being a villain for another season or have them defeat that villain with previous weapons. It makes perfect sense when you look at it from the storytelling angle of we're trying to really talk about the nature of this franchise as a long-running behemoth with a bunch of different incarnations, all of which have their own little niche sects of fandom to them. And moreover than that, it sticks in my craw that people are more bothered than that than other problems I've always had with the show as a nitpicky, complainy guy, like the fact that in the back half of Season 2, Steel suddenly starts wanting to become human. Like, there's a whole episode devoted to that, even though he's just kind of been the goofy jokes guy that he was in the Sentai up until then, and they decide to resolve it by having him get transformed into a human by the power of the morphing grid, but it's not his suit actor, and it's not his voice actor, it's some completely new face actor we've never seen before, but the voice actor is dubbing over him for some reason, which not only is a bit of a choice, but it seems like it would be an incredibly bad one from a production standpoint, because if you ever want that character to come back now, you don't just have to get one actor to fly back to New Zealand, you have to get two roped into the affair. And I'm no frickin' Power Rangers production expert, but that seems like it would be a bit of a ball ache to me. Also, like, what the flip was the deal with Blaze and Roxy this season? I get the whole network stipulation that they wanted the episodes to feel more self-contained, so they had them constantly getting destroyed and remade each episode, but the fact that Season 1 ended with them being freed from Evox, and then at the beginning of Season 2 they get duplicates made that can have that happen to them instead of them just getting re-hypnotized, makes no sense and makes it all the more weird that those characters kind of just fade into the background throughout most of Season 2. We don't ever actually get to know Blaze and Roxy as regular, not evil, hypnotized people. They're just kind of there as set dressing when the show remembers to use them. And yeah, I'm making a bit of a mountain out of a molehill with that there, but I feel like a lot of other people are with this interconnected continuity crossover issue that you all claim to be there. A lot of people act like this ruined the show somehow, or how Beast Morphers had this big fall from grace in its second season, and it really didn't. I think both seasons are fairly solid 7 to 8 out of 10 seasons of television, and I don't get all the whiny, complainy stuff about it. I think it's just a lot of people resisting the fact that we're in a different era of storytelling now, where stuff like the Marvel Cinematic Universe has proven that you can do interconnected storytelling, and most people are willing to either try and keep up or just go with it. And don't get me wrong, not every franchise should need to do that now. There are other ones where it's perfectly okay to just do standalone installments, and I don't doubt that one day PR will be back to doing that. But the current era we're in of Hasbro doing that kind of storytelling with Beast Morphers, with Dino Fury, presumably with the upcoming MMPR 30th Anniversary Special and Cosmic Fury, has been pretty enjoyable to me. It's shown that the show is able to adapt to concepts introduced into the franchise in other mediums and do it with some pretty fun little bits and pieces here and there that give people like me, who love big anniversary episodes when they're done right, like Forever Red, a lot more hits of those endorphins on a week-to-week, season-to-season basis, and I'm not going to complain about that. Again, don't get me wrong, it can be done better, it has done better, but they're doing it all right now. And remember, you never fail until you stop trying, so why shouldn't Power Rangers be constantly trying to iterate on and improve this form of storytelling and build it in to the shows and movies and comics and whatever other forms of media they want to do in order to build a more robust franchise? I don't know. But I do know. I'll see you guys in the next one.